So now, the moment you've been waiting for, the tiger's lair. Yes, that's right. Come on, let's hear some noise. This is the time where the moment when the future Elon Musks of the world will be created on this very stage in your presence. The Economist-InnoCentive Entrepreneurship Challenge. Basically, The Economist hosted an entrepreneurship challenge in partnership with InnoCentive that sought out business ideas that employ disruptive technologies that could make a big impact on the world. Taking some inspiration from Peter Diamandis' exhortation to affect 1 billion lives, right? If you're going to do something, think big, think how you can change a lot of lives. And to that, as a result of that competition, we're now bringing you the 3 finalists who will be judged live by an expert panel of venture capitalists and experts in the field. 3 of them, we're going to be led by them. I'm going to invite them out to the stage if they're ready to come out. Tim Draper, who will be known to many of you in this community. Exactly, he's our head judge and our lead tiger. Welcome, welcome. Who's at Draper Fisher Jurvetson. We have Debbie Brackeen, MD at Citi Ventures. And of course, this man here, who's known to be somewhat optimistic about the future, Naveen Jain, who wears many hats, among them the World Innovation Institute. So these are our 3 judges. Before we get to our contestants, I thought I might just talk to them for a few minutes about what they look for when they invest in companies like the ones they're about to meet. Maybe I'll start with you, Tim. What do you look for?
We're looking for really big markets, but we also like unique technology. And then when we finally meet the people, we're looking for just enthusiasm with just this energy that they can't let up, and it's bursting out of their hearts.
The old adage is you invest in the people, not the business model. Is that really true, or do you actually want a business model?
No, we invest very much in the people and work with the people on their business model to make sure that they figure out how to make money. But we really are looking for this passion that goes, it's almost beyond rational. It just sort of feels like whatever it is, nothing's going to get in their way, and they are just going to make this thing happen. And it can't be faked. Sometimes I get sold a bill of goods, and I realize it a little later. But generally, it's something inside people that it's so important to them that I almost have no choice but to fund them.
How do you distinguish those people, these brilliant, visionary, and ultimately successful entrepreneurs, from people who are just nuts?
Oh, well, we fund some nuts.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not a problem for us.
I see. So you're just looking for that hit rate to be high enough to cover.
And it's nuts with a vision and enthusiasm and drive, and nuts that you want to hang your hat on, and people will want to get behind them and help them be even more nuts.
All right, so Debbie, Tim looks for the right kind of nuts. What do you look for?
It's hard to follow that. I agree that we look for people who are pursuing big market opportunities. We're a corporate investor, so we look for strategic fit, and in relation to that, also people who've done their homework about how they would fit with in our case, Citi. But definitely, I think the passion and vision of the team matters a lot. A lot of people are working on similar ideas, or at least similar opportunity spaces. So, I think that's
What's
huge.
a red flag? When you see someone who has a lot of those traits, but then something tells you, hang on a minute, this is not the right kind of person for us?
Yeah, the kinds of business model explanations, and even though everybody knows somebody's business model is going to change 10 million times before they land on the right thing, if we only capture 1% of this market opportunity space, we'll be golden. That's, to me, maybe somebody hasn't done enough thinking about, what's the value chain that they're trying to disrupt, and how do they fit in that ecosystem?
Red flag for me is buzzwords.
Yeah.
If they're talking about what's cool today, or what they read about in the paper or the magazine, and they think that that'll sell me, that's a big turnoff. Just won't happen.
So no paradigm shifts for you?
No, we're not looking for somebody to say, yeah.
Right. Okay, listen, Naveen, you've been on both sides of this. Obviously, you started off entrepreneur. You've seem to have caught the bug. You can't seem to help yourself starting new companies. but obviously now you're also funding other companies. So what do you think are the traits that you look for?
So I mean, I think I'm not a big believer in ideas because ideas are a dime a dozen, and everybody has an idea. Your cab driver has an idea. So I'm a big believer in execution. So somebody who goes out there and is willing to go out and take any ideas out there and willing to execute on it. So to me, it's all about a person who has a perseverance, person who is so passionate, as Tim said, that cannot keep him in control. My future keeps calling me. I have no idea why.
Exactly.
So
tell the future we're busy.
So I got to turn this off is what I need to do is, okay.
Well, why don't you get it?
Sorry. It's only my CFO telling me that we got more money than we needed. So the idea is really the, so it's really is the person who is really, really passionate about winning, not passionate about an idea. Because I think what happens is a lot of people are so passionate about a particular idea that they would drive the company into the ground. I think so you need a fine balance about somebody says, I really want to succeed in life. And if it's not this idea, I will pivot, and I'll keep pivoting until I find the right thing that works. And it doesn't really matter, as Tim said, business models change all the time. We can all work with the entrepreneur, come up with 10 different ways of making money. So if you can have a product that specifically solves a problem, it's really easy to make money.
All right, okay. So there you have it, what our expert panel looks for. Let me tell you just a little bit about what's going to happen next. As I mentioned, we have 3 finalists who are going to come on stage. I'm going to invite them in turn. They'll make their presentation 3 minutes sharp. And I'm going to be the unfortunate position of being the ruthless timekeeper, in fairness to the other contestants. And after which we'll have time for our experts to interrogate them, if they have any doubts about these folks. And once that's done, we'll go into the judging phase. We may have a conversation here. I'll come to you guys and ask what you thought about the people. And ultimately, we'll, of course, get to the announcement of the winner. So without further ado, if I can have the clock reset, I'm going to invite the first of our contestants onto the stage. Kavita Shulka, please, welcome. And the dais is yours. Give her a nice round of applause.
Good afternoon. So today I'd like to tell you about a simple idea that could change the way we eat. It looks like this. It's a piece of paper with a distinctive maple-like scent. That scent indicates that the paper is active. So if you just put this sheet into a refrigerator drawer, a carton, a bag, or any container filled with different fruits and vegetables, it would keep everything in there fresh for 2 to 4 times longer. Our customers actually call it a dryer sheet for produce because it doesn't actually have to be in direct contact with the produce. You don't have to wrap things individually. It just has to be there in the general area. So anyone who's ever opened a fridge to find moldy strawberries or a bag of soggy spinach knows how frustrating and expensive and disgusting food spoilage can be. But this paper is not only designed for use by consumers like you and me. Because it's so simple and low cost, it can actually be used by large growers and producers, as well as in the developing world. Today, despite all the technology we have, we lose 25% of our world's entire food supply to spoilage. While the world's farmers harvest enough food to feed the planet, 800 million people go hungry every single night. And 1.6 billion people live without access to basic refrigeration. This small sheet of paper could significantly reduce spoilage and the massive energy and resource costs associated with it. And because of its paper format, it can actually be used on the entire journey from when food is first harvested until it arrives on your plate. It's actually made only with edible organic spices. And because it's recyclable, biodegradable, and compostable, it could make our entire food system more sustainable. So just over a year ago, my co-founder, who's a medical doctor, and I, we started off by going to a local farmer's market. We handmade batches of fresh paper, and we just stood there handing out sheets. We had no idea what to expect, but in the weeks that followed, we were amazed by the response. We started to hear from people who said things like, fresh paper makes it possible for me to afford eating fresh, healthy food on a regular basis. And that was incredibly inspiring for us. And we actually started to think bigger. Today, our mission is fresh for all. And we're striving towards a world in which access to fresh fruits and vegetables is not limited by distribution systems and cold chains. One in which everyone from farmers to food banks can use fresh paper to make our food system not only more efficient, but more accessible. Fresh paper started as a middle school science project based on a home remedy that my grandma in India once gave me, a spiced tea.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you. It's a fascinating pitch, but in fairness to the others, 3 minutes. Give her a round of applause. Now, we have 7 minutes for our panelists to ask questions. Who wants to jump in?
So many questions. Doesn't baking soda do the same thing? Or what's on this paper? Is there something, could it be bad for the vegetables? It could be bad for you after you eat it?
That's a great question.
And then what are your margins? Probably pretty good. And how about you? What are you? Who are you? You are a magician.
Why don't you start with
some
the actual
magic
product?
paper.
Yes, tell us just a little bit about what the actual product is that we think people would want to know.
So fresh paper, as I started to say, it's based on a home remedy that my grandma in India, she once gave me this like spiced tea after I drank some tap water. I was brushing my teeth, I drank tap water, and I started to panic. I was so worried that I'd get sick. And my grandma said, oh, just drink this. It was like a mixture of spices. And I was really skeptical. But I drank it, and I didn't get sick. I was actually in middle school at the time, so I don't really have a science background. But I started a middle school science project looking at the different herbs and spices that she'd used. And over the years, I actually ended up finding that some of the spices were really effective inhibitors of bacterial and fungal growth. But as a kid, I couldn't really think of applications that I could do with humans or really anything in health. And so once when I went grocery shopping with my mom and I saw a carton of moldy strawberries, I got the idea to try it in fruits and vegetables. I basically spent high school meticulously dipping fresh fruits and vegetables, which made me really popular. But I also was able to find that it was this mixture, and many of the spices that she used were really effective in inhibiting bacterial and fungal growth. And thus, when I was able to find a way to infuse it into a paper format, I developed a way to actually be able to stop bacterial and fungal growth and therefore stop food spoilage. So to kind of touch upon what you started with baking soda and with a lot of other things that you see, they're absorbing gases or they're removing smells. This paper actually works like refrigeration in that it actually slows down spoilage in kind of the same way.
I was just going to say, how do you foresee going to market, like, both in a market like this, the U.S., but also in obviously developing nations as well?
So when I first created this, and I got the patent for fresh paper when I was 17, I thought that it was kind of magical, and I was so excited to get it out to the developing world. And I actually tried to build a nonprofit, and I failed terribly. I had no idea how hard it can be to give something away for free. And I thought at first that it could be transformative for people like my grandma and areas like the village where she was from and where my family was from, where I could really see how something like this could literally transform their lives. But I just, over the years, I actually tried to go to grad school and do other things. I just couldn't stop thinking about how fresh paper might have been able to have impact. And so when my co-founder and I tried to just go to our local farmers market, we realized that there was a huge appeal that we had not realized from consumers in the US, that they were not only really excited about being able to have an organic, natural way to keep their produce fresh, but that there was literally nothing that they could find that was affordable, that was easy to use, that they could use to help them eat more fresh produce. So we started with consumers. It really was a grassroots movement. We're now in stores across the country, including Whole Foods, and they've actually started to tell their farmers and shippers about it. And so we're actually now also working with farmers and large-scale growers.
So once you do all the hard work and you educate the market because it's a new market, what stops somebody else coming behind you and essentially doing it and selling it cheaper?
No, go ahead. That's a great question. And that was, I think, one of the fears that really kind of held me back when I first started. But we have a patent for fresh paper. We're constantly developing new applications with many other perishables, with meats and seafood and flowers. We're constantly developing other products. And for now, it's the first natural, organic, active packaging that we've seen on the market, and to our knowledge, the only. So what we're trying to do is kind of build upon the momentum and the movement that we've seen, this really kind of enormous growth, And at the same time, we realized that we have to keep innovating and we have to keep sort of bringing to market all of our new innovations.
But if these are the natural spices, why can't anybody just, I mean, what is the thing, mixture of the combination? Or can't somebody just go look at the stuff and say what is in there and replicate it? And what's patented here?
Yeah, so one of the active ingredients in this is actually Fenugreen. That's where a company named Fenugreen comes from. You may know it. It's a pretty commonly used spice. But all of the ingredients in here are organic spices that are naturally antifungal and antibacterial. But, and I was surprised to learn this too, they had never been used to keep fruit fresh. So our patent actually covers that. All of the follow-up patents that we've done actually cover applications not just in food preservation, but in health and in other areas where you would need to inhibit bacterial and fungal growth.
Is there anything special about the way in which you're infusing that formula in the paper or on
Yeah,
others?
well, I can also pass this around if you'd like to see it. But we worked really hard to find a paper that was as sustainable as possible. It's made in the US. We tried to work with obviously all renewable resources. So the method that we have of embedding it into the paper, actually the shelf life for that is about 2 years. So people, once they put it in their fridge drawer, they can leave it there for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They can store it in their pantries for 2 years. So it's.
Do you wrap the fruit completely or the food completely in this, or do you just put it on top?
Yeah, so people call it a dryer sheet because you just put one in an entire fridge drawer. One is enough for a fruit bowl. You can use it in or out of the fridge. And that's really, I think, what has kind of made it adopted so quickly. Because it's so simple, and really because it started out kind of as a middle school science project, it ended up being really simple. But that's made it possible for anyone, from farmers to consumers, in really any part of the world, able to use it.
Is it, I mean, I could smell it.
Yeah.
Is it an aerial thing? It kind of comes up and around the bacteria and just kills off bacteria? Do you know what the science is behind it?
Yeah, so it's both a physical and a chemical reaction. And it's basically, it won't kill bacterial and fungal growth. We always tell people this. If you have a strawberry that's moldy, we can't do anything about that. But it will actually preserve the fruits and vegetables. So that's why we're working so hard to get from farm to fork. Because a lot of spoilage happens in the home, but if we're really going to have an impact on this 25%, most of that is happening on the way to the grocery store. And so if you can put produce with this right when it's harvested, you can really dramatically extend the shelf life 2 to 4 times.
So you sell to farmers or to grocery stores or
Who's your customer? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we have a consumer product, which is 8 sheets of this that retails for about $5. Consumers say it saves them $60 to $70 in produce. But because we're a social enterprise, we wanted to keep it affordable. And then we also are creating packaging, and we work with large-scale growers that actually, I don't know if you've seen strawberry containers. They already come with like a plastic kind of packaging. But mostly that's just absorbing moisture. There's no active packaging on the market that actually is keeping the food fresh while it's in transit. So they're working to actually put tiny squares of this, like 1-inch squares, because that's enough for an entire strawberry or blueberry container into that. And that's actually launching later this month. We also have a lot of grocery stores using it in the storerooms. A lot of farmers at farmers markets use it when they don't have refrigeration. So
Okay,
things like that.
we're out of time. I think give her a nice round of applause. Thank you very much, Kavita. Great. So let's bring on our second contestant. We'll have a chance to discuss what we think about them a bit later. Without further ado, James Sweet. Welcome. Give him a round of applause.
Yeah, thanks,
Welcome,
man.
James.
Appreciate it.
3 minutes.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. My name's James Sweet. I'm the founder of N11 as well as its leading software engineer. In an emergency, our mobile app lets anyone alert nearby off-duty EMTs, medical personnel, and other Good Samaritan responders who also have the N11 app on their phone so that they can quickly come to provide aid. Because when you find yourself in an emergency situation needing emergency help, you may sometimes find that 911 can take just a little too long to get to the scene. However, at the same time, dispatch centers all over the world have 3 to 4 times as many people off-duty and roaming around than they have on-duty at the station. In just the United States, there are millions of people who may be near an emergency and able to help, but who never even get the call. Only about a quarter of sudden cardiac arrest victims receive bystander-assisted CPR, and automated external defibrillators are only used about 3% of the time when needed and available. So why is it that when we're constantly connecting to networks that let us share our photos and our feelings, that we haven't yet connected into a network like this that lets us share our ability to save lives? That's the question some of N11's biggest supporters want to know. People like Anish Chopra, former CTO under Obama and currently running for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, who invited N11 to participate in his public safety roundtable to help design the next generation 911 system. Or Brian Ford, the White House's advisor on mobile technologies, who invited N11 to a high-level White House event to discuss safety data and safety data technologies. We're currently being advised by George Mason University's Enterprise Center, as well as incubated by Citrus, a mobile app development company. To date, we built a functioning prototype using Parse, engaged with potential partners like Team Rubicon, and thanks to this conference today, potentially WarriorGate. How's it going, Devin? And we have vetted N11 with potential customers from all over the world, and especially in Asia. Because for some countries in Southeast Asia that don't even have a 911 system, N11's going to let them do a lot more for a lot less. Speaking of which, we have 3 business models that can make N11 a multi-million-dollar company. First, charging the hundreds of health and safety monitoring companies that are currently in the market for access to an N11 API and/or a white-labeled version. 2, marketing to government contractors to bid N11's technology when responding to government proposals. And 3, charging to form responder groups, similar to what Meetup.com does. Ever since I left my job to work full-time on N11, things have been moving fast. And I want to keep this momentum going. So I need the audience to now really encourage the judges to please help me now so that everyone can get help soon.
So is this what you want to dedicate your life to?
This is my passion.
But I mean, it's your life.
My entire life? To build this is not going to take my entire life, but this needs to get built.
You might be surprised.
Well, you know.
But this is great. I mean, it sounds like a great thing. How are you going to market it? Who
Sure.
buys this from you?
Sure, like I said, we have 3 business models, so I'll address each of those. So in terms of our users are not our customers necessarily. So, but to obtain responder users, we're working with our partners. Like I said, Team Rubicon's ones we're engaging with, and potentially WarriorGate. I've also talked to people at the post office, which have national coverage, and who apparently save lives every day. They have an internal blog about it. For our business models, though, as you were getting at, for the white-labeled version, for the health and safety monitoring companies that are currently in the market, their user range, they typically charge on a subscription basis per user. And they usually charge between $5 and $50 per user / instance. And they usually have around between 25,000 and over 1 million users. So what we'll do is we'll charge $1 to $5 a year per user, matching their model. And what's great about that model is not only that it brings in recurring revenue, but that it only takes 1 to 6 customers to make N11 a multi-million-dollar company. The government contracting route, marketing to those guys, has a similar, you can charge their customers who use it for an API, or you can vie for a piece of the contract. One of the contracts we were looking at was the Department of Veterans Affairs telehealth contract, since one of the things they wanted was when the veteran was having a telehealth session with a doctor, they wanted the doctor to be able to alert nearby people that can assist the patient/veteran in case of the emergency. And for the third model for responder groups, one of the big people that are interested, or some of the groups that are the target market for this would be neighborhoods. So like neighborhood watch groups seem to be pretty interested in this.
What's the source of your passion about this particular solution? Just curious.
The source of my passion?
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to get built. Like, you know.
Why do you care about that?
Why do I care? Mm-hmm. Because it saves people. Like I said, only 3% of the time does it do automated external defibrillators get used. I came up with this when I was watching a TED Talk, actually. It sounds silly, but it was when a guy crowdsourced automated external defibrillators. He made a map of those. And I realized, that's great, that's awesome, except it sucks because it doesn't actually, without a person, they're useless.
Well, I think the question I think she's asking is the same thing, is that unless you really are passionate about this particular thing for personal reasons, it is just another way of making money. So it is just a good business, or do you think you personally care so much about this cause that say, I'm willing to dedicate my life to it because it is so personal to me? And I think Tim and she's asking the same type of thing. It seems to me you're saying, this is a good way to make money here, so I'm doing it, not because I care about it.
I mean, no, I had a particular incident involving myself where I was involved in a nearly fatal car crash involving a 90-year-old woman. And, you know, 911 did show up eventually, but long before they got there, bystanders were rushing to the scene to help. I saw 2 off-duty FBI agents direct traffic while an off-duty doctor attended to the woman. Really, it was that click moment, you know, seeing that made me realize, you know, N11 should get built.
And do you have customers? Are you selling this today?
It's not being sold today, but I have a functional prototype on my phone I'm happy to show you.
Yeah, there are a lot of competitors for this. And they are crowdsourcing emergency work in lots of different ways. Why is this going to beat out all those?
Well, I would need to hear about specific competitors, but you're always competing for mind share with a lot of people. The only other direct competitor that I am aware of is PulsePoint, actually a California company. It's an NGO. They require an interface to the 911 dispatch center, which makes it really hard to scale internationally. In addition, they only target emergencies that involve CPR usage, which is great. I mean, that's a great use case, but there are more usages to be had. It's also slower because it involves the 911 dispatch center, since you have to they have to communicate with you, and first you have to go to them, then they communicate to you, rather than direct communications. And lastly, like I said, they're an NGO. They're not a business. And NGOs are great, in a lot of ways, but this is going to be a sustainable thing that happens. It needs a sustainable model. And when even Wikipedia is struggling to have to keep their banner up for longer periods of time each year, there's a flag should be going off saying that NGOs maybe aren't the way to go for this.
You went through 3 different business models.
Right.
Which of those do you go after first, and why?
The API and white label is absolutely the easiest to get to first.
So this is essentially a Uber for 911. So you could literally why can't you create a marketplace just like Uber and have the doctors and off-duty people sign up for 911, and the customer, whenever they need an Uber car or medical emergency, they press the button and a person would say, look, I'm in the neighborhood, I'll show up. Or here are the people in the neighborhood who are right there for your medical emergency. So in some sense, why can't just Uber do the same thing for 911?
Anyone can build a network, but building a network is not trivial. I think it was actually the people who founded Zipcar, who I think also they found Uber too. That was their emphasis, was that building a network is not trivial.
So you build it?
That's what we're working with our partners to establish that. Like I said, some of the groups we're talking about, like Team Rubicon, which has about 10,000 veterans that they send into emergencies, or the Post Office, which gets national coverage, or who else are we working with? So they're potentially to get, Warrior Gate potentially.
How do you get users to download it? It's an app, right?
It is an app.
So how do you get people to know about it, download it?
Well, sure. Anytime a responder downloads it, that's a person who has it. And so we're working with our partner channels. That's one of the ways. In addition, the group we're really targeting is families, and even more specifically, the mothers, since they're the ones who tend to have the foresight to think about these things in advance.
So who's going to educate those people how are you going to get them to download?
Our market channels to that.
Or is it going to be your partner, your customers that you're selling
Well,
to?
partners are absolutely going to be important, but you mean, how are we going to get the mothers to download this? Mm-hmm. We'll have to go through the channels that they pay attention to. You can go to, schools or doctor's offices, but really that's just finding the right channels to get to those mothers, which other people have already established.
See, building a marketplace is very tough because you need to have both the things come together, the responders and the customers. So how do you build that first? So Uber decided to go build the limo driver first before they went to the customer. Otherwise, customers don't show up.
Right, you have to build a responder network first. That's absolutely, that's the way to do it. And that's why we're focusing on our partners to build the responder network, which will also help build the user network.
Should we see how it works? Oh, God! One,
they made me shut my phone off.
That's
4, 5, 6, 7.
They made me shut my phone off for the
911.
All right, everyone give a nice round of applause
Thank you,
to
guys.
James Sweet. Thank you, James. And theatrics aside, I think we'll move on quickly to the next contestant. Marco Bestonzo. Let me invite Marco to come on. 3 minutes, sharp.
Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is Marco Bestonzo, and I'm the CEO and founder of INTOINO, a newborn Italian startup finalist in main startup competition in Europe, and now here in Berkeley. We are all here today because we are talking about this maker revolution. Amazing. Take a 3D printer, you can translate your ideas into a working prototype, a 3D model. But what if what you want to build in this maker revolution is a consumer electronic product, not a mechanical model? Well, we believe that anyone should have the possibility to bring his product ideas to life. Doesn't matter if he's an MIT engineer or a kid from a developing country. Anyone should have the same opportunity to bring their ideas to life. And this, for me and for INTOINO, is real democratized innovation. If we can show a slide. This is INTOINO. It's an application for smartphone and tablets, which is an app store for open source code driving Arduino boards. How many of you are familiar with Arduino? Let me just take the glasses as they told before. Okay, almost anyone, but anyhow, for the one that doesn't know it, it's basically a credit card size microcontroller with plug-and-play sensor. So this you can build anything you want. We created a Wi-Fi antenna to Wi-Fi program it without coding, because you only need to drag and drop icons to see your idea come into life, and making Internet of Things application, any kind of application you want. INTOINO is also a marketplace for DIY ideas, and so you can build, test, and sell your DIY ideas. The business model is very simple. We're going to sell kits of sensors and the antenna and the application targeting gardening, pets, and education, so that we can have a learning process on how to use this technology. And INTOINO is also service. So we will apply a revenue share with the inventor that are going to sell the best ideas on our platform. What we need is basically an investment to manufacture, market, and decent development to answer the demand that we have for INTOINO. And we're not just looking for the investment, but we would like to partner with serious investors which are very experienced in consumer electronics field, that share the vision that we have of allowing anyone to bring their ideas to life. Thank you.
So I don't really get it. Is it a device? Is it the hardware that you're selling, or some service that allows people to create apps on that hardware?
An easy example, imagine you want to build a system for monitoring when the door at home it opens.
Yeah.
Well, basically what you do, you take your Arduino and you look for the application which does that. Or maybe you can assemble, like read the sensor for the door and get me a tweet.
So Arduino has a sensor on it that...
Yeah, exactly. We teach you which is the sensor that you have to stick to make that particular application or need. And to program it, instead of writing 10,000 lines of code, you just drag and drop an icon. So anyone can do it. We let kids play with it, and it was very funny because we had like middle school, not very young kids, but they were making engineering product with it. So the thing is an idea-driven system. Exactly like the 3D printer makes mechanics. We want to make electronics as well, because still it's a problem that has to be solved.
So are you building the Arduino, or are you just building the application?
No. This is something I really want to underline. The sensor and the Arduino, it's a commercial product which is available. What we build is the antenna, and I have it here if you want to see it, which is a Wi-Fi plug-and-play antenna that allows the communication and the application, exactly like Square model is. So we have an application and hardware.
Are you selling it today?
Not yet. We will launch a beta version in May and launch the product before the end of the year.
So the hardware goes on the Arduino?
You will find kits. So basically what you have is a box for exactly like Lego. You go and you buy sort of an helicopter, so you don't have mixed pieces. You go in a shop, you buy a box, and inside you have everything you can build for gardening or any kind of application. So you learn how to use it, and maybe you modify which is the application. Maybe.
Give me a few more applications.
Okay, yeah, sure. The application that we currently target are very easy and has a learning process. But then you can build anything from mobile, let's say mobile health, for example. You want to monitor your heart rate and building something for mobile health application, you can do it. You just need to buy the kit which is doing this. You want to build, let's say you want to receive a tweet when your plants need for water, so that you can remember, stick the humidity sensor in the plant, program it, and then you receive it. Maybe you want to make it a little bit more funny. You don't want to receive a tweet, or you want to drive a motor, open the curtains. You decide what to do. We provide you the tool for creating electronics.
Are you reselling the Arduino, or
Yeah. I come from Italy, and I come from Torino. It's the Arduino city. So that's where it's produced. And of course, we've been discussing with them to become official distribution channel.
And how many Arduinos are out there already?
500,000 per year. It's used by NASA, Google, Singularity University, anyone that has a product idea, basically use that, and it's the standard of open source hardware. What we would like to be is the standard for open source hardware world, so that we can not just target Arduino, but any other open source platform, allowing anyone to build anything.
So another part of your model is, you said a marketplace or an app store.
Sure.
Where you have a rev store, like a
Yeah.
distribution
Yeah.
fee, essentially.
Marketplace for
people resell.
DIY ideas, yeah.
Okay.
Isn't Arduino building their own app store?
No.
When they see yours, aren't they going to do that?
The first thing I did, since I have a very lean approach, so I want to test risk and market demand, is I presented them. And they're very happy with the product, and they said, actually, they suggested me to go for a specific type of sensor, which is called ThinkerKit, which is a plug-and-play sensor for Arduino, so that even kids can use it. And yeah.
But interestingly, I mean, the only reason they ask you to do it is because there is no, maybe they think there is no market for it. And as soon as you start making tens of millions or hundreds of millions, they're going to say, well, wait a sec, we're doing it.
Well, that's my job. This is what I'm doing all around the world, assessing the demand. And I think it's more a problem of, this is a very cutting-edge technology that was not existing like few years ago. That's more this kind of problem. But that's my job currently. So I'm assessing the demand to understand whether, if it's...
And why are you doing this? A lot of options in your life.
Well, this is I was living abroad, and I almost went crazy because I was not bringing my idea to life, any of all the ideas that I had. I'm a bioelectronic engineer, so that's my job, and I actually decided to study bioelectronic engineering and electronic engineering because that was my love. That's my passion, let's say.
And how big do you think the market is for your solution?
How big? Mm-hmm. You mean the total addressable? We've been estimating it around 250 million, but of course, with the current asset and the investment that we need, we can reasonably address 250,000 units sales in 5 years. That's what we, and of course, if I can partner with someone which is more experienced to shift the break even earlier to increase the market, of course, is something.
Do you have any, I assume you're kind of an operating system and you're allowing other people to develop on that operating system.
It's community-based.
Yeah, so have you gotten anybody else to develop on your operating system, any new application?
But we will launch the beta testing soon. What I did is basically trying to create a mock-up showing the people, and I had a strong demand for participating. And what I learned is that not much innovators. So the people that already use Arduino is the one that want to jump on the boat, is the one that really would like to develop an idea, but they don't know how to. So make designers, artists, any kind of invention. I received a lot of email with really crazy stuff.
Why aren't people just using it, using an iPhone for this? Or for
well, because this is a closed platform, and you cannot build anything on top of it. You cannot connect sensors. And what I wanted to do is creating a connection with a smartphone, which was not existing. And rather than creating something with the smartphone, because the number of sensors that you can have with the smartphone is very limited, and we're building an ecosystem of application around it. But Ericsson is estimating that more than 20 billion connected devices would be before 2020. So I wanted to target partially that kind of market rather than the application itself. Yeah.
All right, Marco, thank you very much. Let's give him a nice round of applause. So you judges have your work cut out for you. I think 3 fascinating and very different business models and personalities, I would say, even have been presented to you. So we don't envy your task. Let's kill the microphones, please, to the judges so they can confer in private. And while they discuss and come up with a winner, why don't we run first a video that we have prepared, and then I'll come to the audience. Maybe we'll talk about the contestants.
We're building a 3D printing vending machine. You can print anything. Anything you can imagine that fits in the size of about a loaf of bread on this machine.
Basically, we're the iTunes App Store for 3D printing. We are a middleman between designers and consumers and connecting the two to make greater availability of design.
Regali is the best way of sending money to Latin America. Instead of sending cash, we enable Latinos here to prepay their family's groceries and utility bills via text message for their family in Latin America. Instead of charging the customer or the recipient, we charge the retailer.
We created a sustainable money-ball version of football. We created one of the biggest football databases in the world, sports databases. We have over 300,000 football players which we can categorize. And when a club comes to us and they're looking for a football player for a certain position, we give them 4 or 5 players that are suitable for them. And if one of these players get bought, we get a percentage of the transfer fee.
I am the CEO of Alkahoot, which is the world's first smartphone breathalyzer. We are comparable to Square for alcohol testing. We're a hardware device, a small, sleek device that you connect to your phone and that you can check your alcohol level instantly wherever you are. It's a one-stop shop for people to be responsible while having fun.
It's an early detection system that is a sweat patch you wear while you work out, and it can measure the concentration of a protein in your sweat. Now, this protein is correlated with chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's and cancer, and it is the first protein that is secreted as a danger signal in your body as these chronic diseases are developing. This will lower cost of treatment, it will get people into the doctor when they need to get there, and ultimately will detect diseases early, which will improve the chance of survival, which will have a huge impact on patients' lives.
All right, so clearly the future is bright. A lot of enthusiastic and quite brilliant young people with great business ideas you heard on the video. And we have 3 of them here currently up for grabs. Let me see here. Let's have the house lights up, please, if you don't mind. I want to see a couple of comments from the floor on the people who just spoke. Who wants to make a statement about one of the business models that you heard that you really think can impact the world in a positive way, like 1 billion people, that what we've been asked to think about? Okay, and again, no family members, no mothers or fathers of the people involved. Should have no commercial interests. Just disinterested audience members. I want to know what our economist family here thinks, and let's hear it.
Just a quick comment on the Arduino project.
Your name, please.
My name is Manu Prabhakar.
Yeah.
I'm a first-year MBA student. So quick comment on the Arduino project.
Yeah.
There's a huge Kickstarter project that just got over for sending the Arduino board up in space and then kind of doing the same kind of microcontroller experiments. And they raised like close to $100,000 on that.
So there's some precedent here. Okay. Another comment? Is there someone in the back? Am I seeing a hand? Want to comment on one of the other contestants and what you thought about it? Well, let's do this. Let's have, if you were to have a forced, oh, here's a lady here who's got a hand up just in front of the banister. Oh, just a second. Let's get a microphone to you. Please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Tamara Elkalis from Qualcomm.
Yeah.
And the guy who was talking about the N11, we'd be happy to give you an offer for a job. So let me know if you want one.
Well, all right. There we go. Excellent. Hey, don't give in to the man, or in this case, the woman. Stay strong on your dreams. Okay, that's right. That's right. They're entrepreneurial. Okay, another comment from the floor. Anybody have an observation, critique? It doesn't all have to be roses and chocolate. Again, wave your arms if you want to pipe up and say something. Something that you had a doubt about? No? Okay, yeah, sorry, just right in front of the lights. I can't see, but go ahead. Identify yourself. Whoever's got the microphone. Let's go to the back first.
So this question is for...
who are you?
Kapil Jain.
Okay.
The question is for N11. Have you thought of any kind of a regulatory challenges or kind of a legal issues? For example, somebody who comes to actually help, but something goes wrong, and what happens then?
Sure. Let's have you up here. Let's. Do we have a mic here, or just use my mic? Come on up.
Thanks.
Let's not lose time.
I love being on stage.
The quick answer. Yeah.
All right. The quick answer is we have 4 parts in which we address liability. The easiest being that we set up responder groups before an alert ever goes out. So a user will have to pick which responder groups they feel comfortable alerting, and the group manager has to select which people they feel comfortable alerting the group. There's a bunch more things, but I've been told to be quick.
Okay. Good. Thank you. A question or comment even about one of the other contestants. I don't want to give unfair airtime to one or the other.
Hi
yes,
everyone.
Go ahead.
I'm Veena. I'm from Google. I'm a first-year Haas student as well. My quick comment is firstly, I'm blown away by the presentations, but I'm wondering, is it fair to compare something that's in the market. I looked you up, Kavita, and you already have the product in Whole Foods compared to the other folks who have prototypes and mocks out there. So is it fair that we're comparing a prototype with a full product? And I would look to the judges to compare based on potential rather than where we stand with the mocks.
Okay, well, the judges seem to have finished their deliberations, so let's see if they can absorb that retroactively, your encouragement and admonition.
Oh, God, is that right? Oh, my God. What, you mean it's not exactly fair?
Yeah, life is unfair. Yes,
Oh,
you're a venture
no.
capitalist.
He never funds a company.
Oh, no, I never fund a company unless everything is exactly the same.
And he never seeks unfair advantage
Right,
over competitors,
never
right?
looking for an
Okay, so
unfair
am I right, head judge there, that you have a winner?
We
in
have
mind?
a winner.
Okay, great. Now, before you reveal that, we're going to do a couple of things. Let's actually take a straw poll. Let's do a forced vote. You have to pick one of the three, even if you thought they're all crap and you don't want any of them. Just for the sake of this entirely unscientific poll, put your hands up. And again, could we either have the house lights up or dim these? Because I just find it very hard to see the audience. I want to get a sense of where people are with their hands. I'm going to mention the three names and put up your hands if you had to back one of the three. And again, they're wonderful people. I'm sure you would want to back them if you were as wealthy as the people on stage here. Let's go with first, Kavita. How many people of you would put your money behind her? Okay, my goodness. All right, that's a lot of hands. Let's try James. How many people would vote for James? Okay, I see a few hands. And how about for Marco? How many of you would back? Okay, and another round of it. Okay, all right, the people are voting with other people's money at the moment, but clearly there's a crowd favorite. Let me not get the winner, but let me instead talk to the judges about what they liked and what they didn't like. Maybe we'll start with you, Naveen. Give us some feedback about what your thought process was in thinking about the winner, and including some things that you found were questions that were not answered or that you didn't like.
So to me, number one thing is you look at the stuff and saying, is this something that Tim asked the right question? Anytime you ask the entrepreneur, can you make this your life? If it takes all your life, is this something you're willing to put your life in it? And unless that's the right answer is yes, if it takes my whole life, I'm going to go do this, right? And to me, in terms of the demeanor and the passion about what it is, and of course you look at the market and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, I really, really like the Fenugreen. I think the lady had a good demeanor, she had a right cause, and she felt that it is something she could do all her life. And other two, I mean, they are good products, good things, and in some sense, they could all be a good market and good company, and they all could be $1 billion company. But would I fund it? I don't know.
Debbie, what was your sort of a hot button? What did you find, and what did you look for?
Definitely look for the stuff that we talked about at the beginning, but I think, first of all, I think everybody did a reasonably good job in the 3-minute pitches in terms of, I wasn't completely confused or lost by any one pitch, which can happen a lot in these kinds of things. So I thought everybody did a pretty good job of that.
Was there anything they should have done better that they could learn from for next time?
Everybody, I think you can always do better. So it's hard without giving, each specific feedback. But I thought, everybody touched on the fundamentals, I think, in terms of, what is it that they're trying to do. If it didn't get covered in the pitch, I think most of the responses to our questions were on target. But I also think that's, for me, where, they started to separate out. I think, there was one clear winner from my point of view in terms of preparation and responses to our questions.
Is it fair to say that none of them gave you enough on their motivation? Because I saw the three judges came to a number of the contestants asking about why do you care about this? Was that something that they should all consider putting early on in their presentation?
I think so. I mean, I think, you came out right away and said it, Tim. I think everybody wants to know, like, what was the source of this idea? Why are you, passionately committed to it? Where does that come from?
And sometimes we got a good answer, but we didn't hear it during the pitch. Right?
Yeah, so I personally think that's always a good thing to put up there.
Yeah, so I'll start with M11 because I did put him on the spot there, and then I gave him a chance to redeem himself when I fell to the ground. And he stayed at the podium. And I thought, if he really wants to save a bunch of lives, there was one right there. And so he sort of had, I gave him 2 chances, and so I think
man, you're a tough customer, man.
That
You're
made
tough.
it tough. I didn't, the sensor business, that looks pretty interesting. It's a very untested market. I'm a little concerned about it that he does all the hard work, and then the guys who run Arduino or whatever that thing is called, they're the ones who end up making all the money. It's a little like when there were all those word processing software companies that came out, and then Microsoft just said, we'll take that. And then the woman was not as strong as I would have liked from a business standpoint. I would have liked her to be right on top of her margins, right on top of her customers. I liked her passion, though, so she had some real passion, so that it was interesting. It was great fun, and I think it was a wide variety, and they could all succeed, or none of them could succeed. We'll see how it goes.
Well, today one of them is going to succeed. Why don't you tell us? This is the big moment. Who's the winner?
So it's called
Fenugreen.
Fenugreen.
Fenugreen. All right. Welcome, Kavita. Congratulations. Come up on stage. Excellent. So let me shake your hand. Say congratulations. Do you have a brief word to say?
Wow. This time last year, we were standing at a farmer's market just handing out fresh paper. I could have never kind of imagined what was to come, but to be standing at the Economist conference, to be sharing our idea with people like you, with the entire audience, it's just really hard for me to believe. But I can't thank you enough for your support and for all of the feedback that we heard. So thank you very, very much.
Great. Well, that's not all. That's not all. We have a check for you. Can I please have the check? Oh, please. We can do a little better. This is.
Shouldn't it be on a big sheet of paper?
Come on. This is what we got. Now let's
zoom in.
There we go. All right. Okay. Come on in. There we go. Kavita, it is my great pleasure
$2,000
to award you the princely sum of $2,000, which, by journalists' wages is actually quite a lot. But of course, as you all know, the real prize today is the opportunity, in fact, to be vetted by these guys and the Economist-InnoCentive platform. You'll be featured, of course, on our multimedia sites and the ways you can leverage this. So thank you for doing this. Thanks to all of our contestants, one of whom got a job offer today as well. So we wish you all good luck. Thank you so much. And you can take the check. There you go. Don't spend it all in one place, yeah?